it's been a frequent experience of mine in recent years that a young man will come up to me, often in a restaurant. This has happened many times in a restaurant. And he'll say something like, well, you know, I took this job at this restaurant and I thought it was beneath me and I was pretty angry about it and I didn't do a very good job. I was resentful. I didn't feel that I had been rewarded appropriately. It's a Cain argument.
Yeah.
My sacrifices weren't accepted by God. And so I wasn't putting my best foot forward and I thought I was better than the job. And since I read your book, I stopped doing that. I started coming to work early and I started throwing all my effort into it. And I've been promoted 3 times in the last 6 months.
Yeah.
And they're like glowing away.
Yeah.
And so why am I saying that? Well,
by the way, it's God. It's not a curse.
it's a description.
It's a description. I mean, I use
agree.
the word curse myself.
Yes.
I know, but it's not. He's just saying this is what's going to happen.
Because of what you did, this will be the consequences.
Yeah.
Okay. So then you have to ask yourself, the idea that we're made in the image of God is a reflection of the idea that our spirit hovers above the water of potential.
Yep.
That what we're surrounded by is a landscape of potential. Okay, so now you understand that you're surrounded by a landscape of potential, even if you're born in a manger with the animals. Right. Even in the conditions of your lowly and unprivileged birth, there's a landscape of potential. Okay, now you orient your aim upward and you strive to extract from that potential the order that's good. Well, then your effort isn't toilsome. Yeah. It doesn't matter what you're doing at that point. And there are no lowly jobs, right? Because being a waiter, being a dishwasher, those aren't lowly jobs.
And that's what it's so interesting because that's what in some ways you've been saying from the beginning. And I think that it really does coordinate with the Christian message, which is that when Christ came, he didn't completely come to remove suffering. In some instances, he did remove suffering, but he seems to point to the fact that the highest thing you can do is actually suffer for the right reason. That if you suffer for purpose, that suffering actually ceases to be suffering in the way that we understand it.
Right.
And that's something that you see.
You've described that as glory. I
exactly.
think.
It seems to be this idea
look, if you go to a movie and you watch your favorite secret agent operating, it's not like he isn't carrying a burden, right? No burden, no adventure.
That's right.
No adventure, no meaning, right? So that, I don't know, it's the idea is something like God took death upon himself to make being possible. That's the sacrifice that's at the foundation of the world.
And then the surprising thing is that, you know, those types of stories, they become extreme sometimes in the Christian story, but you can kind of understand them, which is that the martyr, right? The person who's willing to die without compromising their highest aim. Mm-hmm. You know, it's like most of us are not called to do that, but that becomes an image of what we're supposed to do at a small level, right? It's like I am called to sacrifice my immediate pleasures or my life in the smallest way, you know, maintain my highest, and then I will gain my life. Even if I lose it it looks like I'm losing it for the outside world. Like I'm not getting all the advantages that you could think, but because I am oriented properly, that's what, like being a father, that's what a father is, right? You know,
well, this is why the psychological literature indicates that people with children are less happy than people without children.
Yeah, whatever.
Like, well, I look at that and I think, well, you should rethink your happiness measures there, but
that's what it is.
Because you're a little on the shallow side.
Yeah.
It's like, well, you're not tiptoeing through the tulips because the thing you're taking care of might die.
Yeah.
It's like, well, there's a bit of a weight there, but you're not going to give that up. You're not going to give that up.
No, and the levels of joys that you encounter in being a parent, for example, being a father, have nothing to do with the superficial pleasures. Like that's why you can see that the people who give themselves to those roles and give themselves into responsibility with the right perspective, you know, they're less attracted to just going out and drinking with the buddies all the time. Like you might enjoy moments of frivolity sometimes, but you're not a slave to them because you're like, you know what,
I got something better.
I got something better to do. Exactly. Yeah. I got this better thing. I mean, you see it when you're raising children. You can see it. It's like, you know, it's like it's like I got my hands in poop. It's like, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? But it doesn't, you don't care. It doesn't bother you at all because there's something pulling that forward.
Yeah.
And so the suffering, the difficulty, the sleepless nights, all of these things, they kind of vanish. They're difficult, but they kind of vanish in time as you are
right, because while their significance transforms because they're related to a different aim.
Yeah, exactly.